Cougar fans, welcome to another edition of CUC Coach's Weekly Women's Soccer Edition. Coach Garza, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great day to be a Cougar.
It is, and tomorrow's going to be a better day to be a Cougar because you and I get to hit the links and play some golf tomorrow for the Cougar Classic. How you feeling about how you're going to shoot tomorrow?
I hope I don't have to carry my team because if we do, we're not going to do well. But excited for, the camaraderie and, just get everyone out together, supporting the athletic program. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. Let's talk about yesterday. Your team traveled to Marion, came away with a 2-2 draw. Talk about the performance. You were up 2-0 at halftime and then 2-2 the final.
Yeah, the team had a great start. Got an early goal off a corner kick. Allie Brown netted, put the ball in the back of the net, and then later in this first half, Izzy had a good, follow through on a play and finished an opportunity there. And we went into the second half with a lot of momentum. In the second half, we still brought a lot of energy. We were competing, and all a coach can ask for is like the effort and fight and to compete. And I think the team delivered. We had some unfortunate circumstances, like with any team, dealing with injuries and, rotations, and that's just part of the, the season. But overall, although we did give up a 2-goal lead, I think, due to the circumstances, I think we took a point away from a team that we're still above in the table. So
let's talk about the point system. Just for the folks that might not understand that, can you talk about how that exactly works? You're talking about going to Marion, a team that finished third in the conference like we had talked about this morning, and stealing a point away from them. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so naturally, when you're playing at home, you have the advantage. You don't have to travel. Your athletes don't have to be stressing about class. They can manage their day a little bit better. In conference for women's soccer, or I guess men and women's soccer, when we get into conference play, you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 points for a loss. So when you go away, we call it stealing points. So, you start the game with a point. We ended the game with the point. So we're ahead on Marion with points in games. We're equal in games. So for us to get that point, it benefited us more than them. Although they did come back, so they saved the point. But, as long as we're getting the same amount of points, we'll remain ahead of them.
So let's talk about the standings coming up here. You're sitting currently at 5th in the conference, and you've played only one of the teams ahead of you, and that was IIT last week. So still to come, you've got MSOE, CU Dub, and Dominican to finish the season. This week you get MSOE here at home on Sunday. So what do you have to do to kind of start taking some of these points now from these teams that might be just a bit ahead of you on the standings?
Yeah, great question. So utilizing the home field advantage. So as two of those three opponents that are ahead of us, we played them at home. We also played IIT at home. So, we got to take those opportunities to capitalize on. Going into MSOE is, again, getting healthy, recovering, executing our game plan. The team's been really good at doing that all year. And, again, taking it one game at a time. So with teams that are ahead of us, naturally, you can close the gap with the wins, but with conference play, everyone has the same amount of games left, so naturally the table will fluctuate throughout. So all the coaches are looking at it. It changes after every match day. So yesterday we were at 4th, then we went to 5th. So it's just how the table's going right now.
Well, I look forward to seeing that match play out on Sunday. Good luck in that, and good luck tomorrow. I'll be watching you from the hole behind you all day long, Coach. For more information on CUC Women's Soccer, all CUC athletics, head to cucougars.com. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Roll Cougars.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Concordia Stadium here on the beautiful campus of Concordia University, Chicago, as we get set for Game 2 of today's soccer doubleheader. This time it is CUC women's soccer team taking on the MSOE Raiders women's soccer team. These two schools' men's teams played earlier today, with MSOE taking a 2-0 win over the Cougars on Senior Day, as now we get set for the women's matchup between these two NAC rival schools. Peter Borkowski, Eric Perry on the call with you today. And Eric, as the starting lineups are being read right now, let's go over these two teams a little bit. First, for your Concordia University Chicago Cougars, a 7-5-2 overall record. Meanwhile, in conference play, they're sitting at 3-2-2, but it has been rough sailing as of late for the Cougars, Eric. They had 2 straight losses on the 2nd and the 5th of this month to IIT and St. Norbert, but they started to right the ship a little bit in their last matchup, a 2-2 tie at Marian University. Allie Brown as well as Izzy Fairless with the 2 goals, but kind of unusual for CUC. They had a 2-0 advantage over Marian, but it was their defense that couldn't hold up for the rest of the game, Eric.
Yeah, in the last 25 minutes, Marian came back, scored 2 goals, and was able to tie the game up. So while it was a little bit of a course correction for Concordia, a team that's had a typically very good defense, I believe 5th in the conference, was kind of let down at the very end. And so they have some progress, but not as much as they would like. They weren't able to put one in the win column.
Right, CUC's defense, like Eric mentioned, currently sits 5th in the conference in least amount of goals per game allowed. 1.43 is that mark. Unfortunately for CUC, their offense sits at 11th best in the conference, scoring just 1.14 goals per game. This is a very defensively minded squad for CUC, which could bode well for the Cougars, considering the team that they are playing. It is the reigning NAC champions, the MSOE Raiders. They made it all the way to the 2nd round of the NCAA tournament last year before being knocked out by Calvin in that 2nd round, and they're just having another fantastic season up in Milwaukee. 8-4-1 overall, 4-1-1 within conference play. They have not lost a conference game since the 28th of September, a 1-0 loss at Illinois Tech in a rematch of last year's NAC championship game. But, Eric, the Raiders coming off a good game in their last match on the 9th, a 3-0 win over the other Concordia in the NAC, Concordia, Wisconsin. And those 3 goals just kind of go to show that this is a very, very good offense that MSOE has. Oh,
yeah, this is a great offense. They've scored 30 goals a game 30 goals across their 14 games so far. The 3 leaders, Claire Bradford with 7, Elizabeth Kuhn with 5, and Grace Quinn with 4, have totaled over half of their goals. Then you got a couple people. You got one with 3, couple with 2, and then a couple with 1. So yeah, they have the 4th best offense in the conference, and the last 3 games are a good indicator of that. They've outscored their opponents 7-2 in those last 3 games, which is win over Marian, tied with Dominican, and as you just said, a 3-0 win against Concordia, Wisconsin.
So this is a very good offensive team versus a very good defensive team. Though it should be said, MSOE's defense is nothing to scoff at either, as they are currently allowing just 1.38 goals per game, which is 4th best in the NAC conference, just a spot ahead of the Cougars defense. But the starting lineups have been read. The team's breaking up their final huddles. Let's go over those starting lineups one more time for everybody watching at home. For the Raiders, it is midfielder forward number 3, Addison Spillman, and midfielder defensive player number 4, Samantha Fleischman, a midfielder and defender number 6, Grace Quinn, a midfielder number 7, Elizabeth Kuhn, a midfielder defender number 9, Claire Bradford, a midfielder forward number 10, Faith Papazaglu, a midfielder defender number 11, Emma Oster, a midfielder defender number 20, Alina Dwenger, a midfielder forward at number 21, Maggie Thilman, and a defender number 22, Samantha Shaver. Starting in goal for the Raiders is number 00, Paige Sanchez, and the assistant coach for MSOE is Robert Williams, while head coach in his 20th season as a Raider is Rolf Zerson. As for the Cougars, they are rolling out a starting lineup of number 3, Allie Brown, number 4, Mia Hirayama, number 7, Izzy Fairless, number 9, Pamela Saldivar, number 11, Itzel Calderon, number 14, Natalie Flores, number 17, Malika Kenworthy, number 20, Quetzale Arteaga Vasquez, number 24, Elle Wheelock, and number 33, Lorena Jaimes. Starting in goal for the Cougars is another 0-0. It is the junior Brooke Sheriff. Cougars attacking right to left on your screen to start in their traditional home whites with maroon lettering and numbering. Meanwhile, MSOE in their red traveling unis with white stripes down the side and white numbering / lettering. They are moving left to right to start. For the goalie, Sanchez for the Raiders wearing an all-black outfit with white accents, while Sheriff wearing the highlighter yellow kit for the Cougars. As CUC will get started with a goal kick here early as we are underway game 2 of today's homecoming doubleheader for men's soccer and women's soccer, as this is the last game of homecoming week. It's been a fun week of festivities in and outside of the athletics department, and it's all coming to a head here with this women's soccer game between the Cougars and a NAC powerhouse in the MSOE Raiders.
Yeah, Concordia would like to end the homecoming week on a good note. You know, the men's team just lost, so they're hoping that maybe the women's team can pull out the win and send the home crowd happy as we head into midterms here at Concordia next week.
A win here would be huge for a younger Cougars team who is already breaking some barriers in terms of their wins so far this year. Coach Garza, head man of CUC, in his 3rd season. He came into the year with 6 total wins under his belt, and as of right now, on October 13th, CUC already has 7 wins. So Coach Garza already surpassing his career total in this season alone, and it's been a really good season of progress for the Cougars, and they'd like to highlight it with a win against the reigning NAC champions in the Raiders here on homecoming Sunday.
Yeah, being able to beat the defending NAC champions would definitely be big, especially with when you look at the experience gap. As you said, the Concordia coach, this is only his 3rd season here at Concordia. Meanwhile, MSOE's head coach Rolf Zersen's been there for 20 years. So being able for Concordia to get past this and win the game would be a very good sign of progress for the team.
Well, we got a long ways to go. 42-35 reads the clock here in the first half, as neither team has really gotten much of anything going here in the early goings of the game. As MSOE trying to escape that mid-third. They will bring it up now with Papazoglu.
Yeah, and the key for Concordia with this game is they've got the defense 5th best in the conference. Their offense is going to need to step up. In their last 3 games, they've been outscored 7-2, and both of those 2 goals were in that Marion game. Before that, they had been shut out in back-to-back games. So their offense needs to step up in order for them to have a good chance of winning this game against MSOE today.
Ball rolls into the box for CUC. Brooke Sheriff coming out to make the grab. And would like to point out Brooke Sheriff is wearing a mask in goal today. See players who suffered some kind of injury recently, they'll throw on the mask. Kind of an inside joke within the NBA world that masked players are just a different breed. Masked LeBron, for example. So maybe we'll see a big performance out of Brooke Sheriff while she's got the mask on today. She's had big performances all throughout the season. 14 games played for the junior out of Simi Valley, California. Over 1,108 minutes of action. 14 goals allowed versus 73 saves. 1.14 goals allowed per game, and she's saving things at an 84% clip. In terms of the conference ranking, she is 2nd in goals allowed per average. She is currently 2nd in save percentage, and as for total shutouts, she's sitting pretty at number 1 with 5 total shutouts, and her saves per game only sits at 5.21, which is good for 8th, but It's not much about that number as just how consistent she's been, even though she's playing a lot of minutes for this Cougar squad.
Yeah, and as you said, she's played a lot of minutes. She's a two-time NAC Conference Defensive Player of the Week. But what it's come down to is, as you said, 5 of her 14 games have been shutouts. That's over 1/3 of them. But she hasn't had a whole lot of offensive support in those games. The most goals that Concordia has scored in a game so far was 4 games against against Aurora on September 25th. Besides that, it's just been 2 goals a game or 1 goal a game, or there's been 5 times this season where they have been shut out because the offense hasn't been able to make a whole lot of anything happen.
Haven't had a ton of possession this game, as MSOE's done the bulk of controlling down on CUC's end of the pitch. No shots registered just yet. CUC against Marion let up 29 shots, 11 of which were on goal, as this ball makes its way on goal, as now there's a Cougar in the goal as well, and we'll get a stoppage of the clock. I think we might see a yellow coming out potentially, as that was Pamela Saldivar who was in the net. Looks like she got pushed in there by Addison Spillman, who's also wearing the captain's band for MSOE. So if it is indeed Spillman, as I think it was, that is not what you want to see out of the player wearing the captain's band. No yellow was issued, but Spillman did get a talking to by the referee in the pitch.
Yeah, you usually don't want to see the captain of your team get a talking to by the ref less than 6 minutes into the game for shoving a player in the back. It's usually not a good sign of things to come. And something that Concordia struggled with a lot this year have been fouls. They have 96 more fouls. They have 30 more fouls than their opponents do this year. It's been a bit of an issue for them, whether it's just like aggression or just mistakes in the moment of the play have caused them to give possession back to the opponent a lot.
130 fouls to be exact for the Cougars on the season. That is second most in the NAC. They're trailing only Edgewood by 7. And here's a centering attempt, and gobbling the ball up was Paige Sanchez to avoid any further attempts by the Cougars. Sanchez, like her goalie opponent on the Cougars, is a junior. She's a junior out of Longmount, Colorado, and on the season, she's in fact played just 5 more seconds than Brooke Sheriff has at 1,108 minutes and 36 seconds compared to the 31 seconds at the end of Brooke Sheriff's number. She's allowed 1.3 goals per game at a 75% save percentage. So these are 2 talented goalies right now in the NAC conference who do not like giving up goals going against each other.
Yeah, they're both very good goalies. The only difference is when it comes to Paige Sanchez, she's had the offensive support that has allowed her to, if she gives up 1 or maybe 2 goals a game, the offense has been able to pick up some of the slack and score 3 or 4 goals a game so that they still win, even though she might have given up a goal or 2.
Yeah, again, you look at some of the Cougars' losses so far this year. There are some, not so pretty losses. A couple of 4-0 losses earlier in the season, a 3-0 loss to IIT. Those you can't really do much about. But in terms of, there's a couple of 2-0 losses. Those are the ones that really hurt, because 2 goals, you would hope your offense would be able to produce when your defense and goalie limit them to such a number.
Yeah, and it's not even just the goal score in itself. It's the fact that they haven't really been able to get shots on goal. They've only taken 120 shots so far this season while giving up 216. So their opponents have taken 96 more shots than they have. And it's a testament to how good Brooke Sheriff is that Concordia still has managed to have a winning record despite that very large disparity.
And it's something that Coach Garza, you can tell, is cognizant of. I mean, they've had a strong defense since he got to CUC, and every year the offense improves ever so slightly. This has been by far the best offensive season we've seen out of a Coach Garza-led Cougar squad. which I know might not seem like much considering that their goal scoring numbers aren't great in the grand scheme of the NAC, but still, the signs of improvement are definitely there for Coach Garza year to year. And you figure at this rate, as he gets more and more recruiting classes in, as his younger players that he's already brought in get more and more experience, those numbers just going to keep going up. But as for now, MSOE getting set for our first corner kick of this match, as the kick is a low one towards the goal. It takes a weird couple bounces and skips past everyone. That ball had disaster written all over it for CUC, and luckily for Brooke Sheriff and the Cougars defense, no one was able to get a foot on it. Cougars set up for a goal kick, starting with Pamela Saldivar.
Yeah, well, corner kicks are something that Concordia has given a lot of up this year. They've allowed 79 corner kicks, a good chunk of which came in the Aurora game where there was, I believe, 11, but still, 79 corner kicks. That's 79 opportunities that the other team has down right near your goal to make something happen, and you just don't want to give them the chance to make anything happen.
CUC will get set for another goal kick here. Once again, it is Saldivar doing it. CUC not usually letting Brooke Sheriff take the actual goal kick. They usually let Pamela Saldivar or even Melka Kenworthy, one of Sheriff's defensive players, do the honors. As Saldivar readjusts the ball.
Yeah, the wind's starting to pick up here a little bit in River Forest, so that can affect how the ball flies through the air, how it bounces off people's foots, and so you got to account for that when you're trying to line up shots or goal kicks or corner kicks.
There's a shot blocked by Mia Hirayama, one of the standout freshmen on this Cougar squad. Hirayama, a product out of Hawaii for Coach Garza. Currently 2 goals and 2 assists. She is second in the goal number, tied for second in the goal category, is second in the assist category, and is second in total points with 6, as she's been a very positive sign of this recruiting class for Coach Garza. Plays a ton of minutes, is almost everywhere, as MSOE now sets up for a very good positioned free kick here.
Yeah, Hirayama being a freshman recruit from Hawaii just shows what good recruiting can do. Each year, as the team gets better and better, that's going to attract more and more recruits because they want to come be a part of a good program. So not only will you get more recruits and also less people maybe transferring out, you'll also get higher caliber recruits, so that while the offense hasn't been necessarily great this year, maybe next year and the year after that, as you get better and better recruits, that offense will start moving up the NAC and hitting the higher numbers, maybe hopefully around where MSOE is now.
MSOE controlling the ball and is working with it now is Emma Oster, the junior out of Lockport, Illinois. As Claire Bradford works it over to Elizabeth Kuhn. Here's a shot, and it's just too high. MSOE claiming that Sheriff got a hand on it. The referee showing no love to their case, as Sheriff will now get set for a goal kick.
Yeah, Concordia's really got to get it to the MSOE side of the field. Game's been going for about 13 minutes, and it feels that probably 12 of those minutes have been spent on this side of the field. They had the one burst where they got a shot off earlier, but besides that, it's been just MSOE staying on the Concordia side of the field, taking shots, and so far none of them have been able to connect, but the longer you spend down there, the greater the odds that one of those shots will go in goes.
Free kick here for Saldivar, as it's going to land off the head of Maggie Tillman. Here is Tillman, number 21 in red, junior out of Green Bay, so in-state product for the MSOE Raiders. Claire Bradford now moving left to right, as gives it to Elizabeth Kuhn, and a little give and go. Kuhn's got the ball right back, trying to dribble past the defenders, and Mel Kenworthy's going to clear this ball all the way down as the Raiders watch it roll out. They'll get set for a throw-in now.
Yeah, that's a sign of the 5th-ranked Concordia defense. They're able to keep the 4th-ranked MSOE offense from scoring so far, even though they have been down on the side of the field a lot. So, again, they're just hoping that they can flip the field, put some pressure on the MSOE side, and get some good quality shots off themselves.
I mentioned Elizabeth Kuhn's name a couple of times. Now there's a Raider on the ground. No whistle on the play. Maybe to the surprise of the Raiders. But for Elizabeth Kuhn, the junior for MSOE out of Aurora, so not too far from here. Here's going to be a shot, and Brooke Sheriff plays the bouncing ball well, falls on top of it, and she gets set to get her offense moving the other way. But Elizabeth Kuhn, she recorded 3 goals in the past week of play, twice in their 3-1 win over Marion, and then a lone goal and a 1-1 draw with Dominican back on the 5th of October. So Elizabeth Kuhn is one of the standouts of a very talented MSOE offense, as she had the ball for a second, just couldn't get it under control. She was in prime shooting territory.
Yeah, and those 3 goals in 2 games were enough to earn her the NAC Offensive Player of the Week. And it's crazy to think that in terms of on paper, she's not even the player with the most goals for MSOE. It's Claire Bradford, who has 2 more goals than her, also 2 assists for 16 points compared to.
As here's a shot, and it rings off the crossbar of the football field goal. Great effort there from the foot of Faith Papazoglu. And she was able to get away from 2 defenders just enough to get a hard shot off. Just put way too much under it. As it sprang up, hit the crossbar, hit both crossbars.
Yeah, and Papazoglu's not one of MSOE's main scoring people. She only has 2 goals so far in the season, but still, when you get a breakaway, anything can make anyone happen. So Concordia's lucky that she put too much mustard on it and it didn't hit the back of the net.
As we see Coach Garza for CUC getting a couple subs warming up. You can see his players on the bench all wearing warm-up jackets. As while it's not that cold a day, it's currently, according to the Apple Weather app, 60 degrees, which isn't terribly cold, but it is a gusty day here, which is adding to it. As there's a good opportunity now for Kuhn. She sets up Papazoglu, who finishes it for the first goal of the day. That had goal written all over it. When you have Elizabeth Kuhn and Faith Papazoglu working closely in the box, a combined 7 goals between the 2 of them, and Papazoglu will add 1 to her tally. She now sits at 3 on the season, and MSOE sitting with a 1-0 lead in the game.
Yeah, that's also Kuhn's 5th assist of the season, which is by far more than any other player on MSOE, and now Concordia faces an early deficit, and they've got to try to attack the MSOE side of the field, which they have had difficulty doing in the first 17 minutes of play.
So MSOE goal scored by Papazoglu, assisted by Elizabeth Kuhn. I mentioned that is Papazoglu's 3rd goal of the season. Those are her only scores of the year. 3 goals, no assists for 6 total points, as she almost had a look at number 4 there as that ball rolls out, and it will be a goal kick coming up here for CUC. Meanwhile, for Elizabeth Kuhn, she now sits at 5 goals with 5 assists. That puts her at 15 points on the season, which is still 2nd behind Claire Bradford's 16.
Yeah, when you look at the MSOE offense, they really have several people that can just come in and score goals. They've got Claire Bradford, Elizabeth Kuhn, Grace Quinn, who we haven't seen too much of so far in this game, but she's got 4 goals on the season as well as 2 assists. So they just have a lot of key playmakers that can make something happen, compared to Concordia, whose leading goal scorer is Allie Brown with 3, and then several people at 2 and several people at 1.
Yeah, and the interesting note here for MSOE is that we have not seen any signs of Lena Afifi, a junior out of Mequon, Wisconsin, who last year Afifi was the NAC Offensive Player of the Year. And even looking at their statistic sheet coming into today, Afifi has not played at all. Here's a shot, Brooke Sheriff, what a save! Breakaway chance for Grace Quinn, and Brooke Sheriff stands tall, makes the save on the breakaway, keeps us at a 1-goal game.
Yeah, Sheriff showing why she, so far this season, is a 2-time NAC Defensive Player of the Week, making a good save there to prevent the deficit from becoming 2-0.
But again, going back, Afifi, NAC Offensive Player of the Year last year, and assuming I'm not missing anything on our statistics sheet, she has not played at all. So she's not played at all this season for whatever reason. So this MSOE team, who's very good once again, 8-4-1, 4-1-1 record coming into today, they're doing it without the reigning Offensive Player of the Year. As this ball is going to go out the end for a goal kick for CUC. That just goes to prove what we've been saying on the broadcast about how deep this squad is. They can miss the reigning Offensive Player of the Year and still have one of the best records in the conference.
Well, yeah, when you've got a coach like Rolf Zerson, who's been here for 20 seasons, and as you said, they made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament last year, continued success like that brings in recruits. So even if you end up missing the NAC Player of the Year from last year, you still have a deep enough bench and roster that it's not as noticeable. You still have several key playmakers that can put up a lot of goals and a lot of assists.
As this ball keeps on rolling, and looks like a good stop by Kuhn was ruled out of bounds. So CUC will get set for a goal kick. In terms of accolades between these two teams last year, MSOE fielded 4 first-team all-conference members, 3 of which are still on the squad as of now. I mentioned Afifi, even though we haven't seen her yet this year. Maggie Tillman, who we've already called her name, and then Elena Dwanger, who is in the starting lineup today. In terms of second-team representation, they had a pair with Elizabeth Kuhn and Addison Spillman, both of whom we are currently watching on our screen. And in terms of honorable mention, they had another 2 and a pair of seniors. Meanwhile, CUC, their lone all-NAC member was an honorable mention last year. It was Alani Burnell, who is no longer with the team. So just shows you where these two teams are at right now and how much a win for CUC would mean. They can come away with one here against a tough MSOE squad.
Yeah, and Alana Dwenger is interesting. As you said, she was first team for NAC last year, but she's only played in 5 games so far this season and has no points. So the product that she's put out is a little bit down from last year, but again, the MSOE roster is deep enough that it's not as much of an issue as it normally would be.
And she is on the field now, as I mentioned. She's playing on that back line of defense, and she is wearing a captain's band as well. So several players with the captain's band for MSOE. Same deal with the Cougars. Allie Brown, Malika Kenworthy, and then Valeria Fernandez all wear a purple band to represent Captain Hood. As MSOE now, they're going to get set for another corner kick. This will be corner number 2 on the day for the game and MSOE. First one did not go anywhere for the Raiders. Skipped by every player and went out the other sideline. So see what Coach Zerson and his offensive staff cook up here on corner number 2 for MSOE. As the kick is once again a lower kick. There's a deflection, hits Kenworthy in the head, as now she'll boot this one away, out of bounds, so to give her defense a chance to reset here. Good job by CUC to curb another corner kick.
Yeah, corner kicks have been an issue so far this year. They've allowed 79 corner kicks, or I guess the +2 now. They've allowed 81 corner kicks. And so the fact that the MSOE was not able to convert on the 2 so far this game is a very good thing. It means they haven't been able to add to their lead.
Free kick coming up here for Pamela Saldivar and the Cougars, and they are in desperate need of some offensive production. We have not seen any shots out of CUC. Nonetheless, we haven't even really seen many possessions by the Cougars. This is just how dominant this MSOE squad is. As now bringing up the ball was another captain of this squad, Grace Quinn. She leaves it for Kuhn, who takes it into the corner. Kuhn now, good defense there by the freshman, Elle Wheelock. She knocks it out. It will be a corner kick for MSOE, but again, Elle Wheelock, good defense to end that one-on-one with a talented Elizabeth Kuhn. Getting set now for the corner is Claire Bradford. Third corner of the day for the Raiders. Bradford's kick, it's going to get past an attempting kick from Elena Dwanger, who I mentioned, she's been on the back end all day for MSOE defensively. She came all the way up on that corner, and she was the closest player to getting a foot on that ball, tip it into the empty net. However, sails by her foot, and Cougars, they're moving it the other way now.
Yeah, again, Concordia is lucky that none of the 3 corner kicks have connected, and 2 of them have literally not connected with anyone on the field. They've just skipped out of bounds. But again, MSOE's got the ball back, and they're pushing again.
Saldivar will knock this one out, an absolute kick, as that is almost made it out of the track and field area. It's behind where the athletic trainers for today are set up. Throw in here from the Raiders.
Yeah, and as we approach the 20-minute mark of the half, game's been going for 25 minutes. It feels like the time of possession, I don't have the exact numbers, but it feels like it's probably MSOE 23 and Concordia 2. They just haven't been able to have a sustained offensive tack, which is something that they really want to turn around so that they can hopefully tie this game up. But the first step to that is just getting the ball onto the MSOE side of the field and keeping it there for more than just 1 or 2 quick shots. They want to have a prolonged presence down there to maybe even wear down the MSOE defense a little bit.
Yeah, and the other key for CUC is not falling in a 2-goal hole where you're going up against a team who does not give up many goals. You're an offense who hasn't been scoring a ton of goals this year. Obviously, a 2-goal hole against a team like MSOE is almost a death sentence. So CUC, they're going to need to start generating some pressure here and give their defense some break as well. As Eric pointed out, this defense has been playing a lot of minutes that can drain those defensive players for the Cougars. And eventually, if you just keep on the pressure as MSOE has, the defense will slip up. And that could be how they get that 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and it might not even be right now in the first half. It could be come the second half when the defense has just been playing so hard to prevent shots for so long. Eventually, one of them is going to slip by, and the lead for MSOE is going to grow. And Concordia is hoping that this game will break the trend. They're down 1-0. Every single game they've lost this season has been a shutout. So they're hoping that they can score to tie the game up and then, hopefully take the lead later in the game. But still, that starts with keeping the ball on the MSOE side of the field, which is something they have not been able to do so far today.
Jennifer Reyna checking into the game earlier, tried to move the ball up ahead. She, in fact, scored the first goal for the Cougars all season. That was back in their first win of the year, a 1-0 victory over Spalding way back on September 1st. She scored the first goal of the year, and since then, Arena, she has been largely silent in the scoring category. That 1 goal remains her only scoring statistic on the season, goal or assist. As she would love to find number 2 coming up here soon. Well, MSOE moving it up ahead with Rosario Echeverria Abun, a Spain product for Coach Zerson and his Raiders.
Yeah, and again, when you're a coach like Zerson that's been at MSOE for the past 20 seasons, continued success like that can bring in recruits that from not only out of state or other places in the Northwest or in North America, but from across the sea and from other continents like Europe. So that's a sign of what good recruiting can do, and that's definitely what Concordia coach Eddie Garza would like to hopefully be able to replicate.
Yeah, Echeverria Abun as well as Carla Sastry are the 2 international products for Coach Zertson, both from Spain. Meanwhile, for Coach Garza, his lone non-USA recruit is Luciana Moran Cruz, who is from Mexico. So both these coaches able to pull from out of the continental USA in general, as Allie Brown, who's from St. Louis, she tries to move the ball ahead, yet there is an MSOE defender. And here is Kuhn now. Both these teams haven't had a ton of subs check in and out of the game, with coaches largely rolling with their starting lineups, and it's been working for what they're trying to do. Cougars' defense has been very stout, besides the one goal allowed, while MSOE, they're doing a bit of everything. Good defense, good offensive pressure, as that whistle is going to be blown on Claire Bradford, which will leave it for CUC, and a free kick. Pamela Saldivar gets set to do the honor.
Yeah, as you said, haven't been a lot of substitutions so far this game. Both Concordia and MSOE are similar in that they both have very deep benches, so later in the game they can afford to keep bringing out players with fresh legs that are ready to go. So not necessarily looking at exactly a war of attrition as we get into nearing the end of the game in the late second half.
As we're approaching the last third of the first half, this ball is going to go wide right. Sheriff lets it go out, as now she'll get set for a goal kick. So less than 15 minutes to go here in the first half. MSOE holding on to a 1-0 lead after the goal from Faith Papazoglu. And the Cougars since then have not been able to muster any kind of offensive pressure. Still no shots in general for CUC.
Yeah, and that's something that CUC really needs to turn around. Not having any shots through the first 30 minutes of the game is not a good thing. They really need to find a way to break through the defense and not even necessarily score a goal or get a good shot on goal, but even just getting a shot and proving to themselves that they can do it might allow them to break through the barrier of not being able to do pretty much anything offensively.
Ball headed towards the net, and Brooke Sheriff getting on top of it. Elizabeth Kuhn, not a strong shot. She had Pamela Saldivar draped over her, so good defense out of Saldivar, number 9 in white, junior, out of Chicago, making that shot relatively simple for Brooke Sheriff to fall on and make the save on.
Yeah, Kuhn wasn't able to get a good kick on it. It was just a bit of a kick that kind of rolled on the ground that Sheriff was able to easily jump on and block. So good defense from Saldivar there. And now Concordia really needs to find a way to get the ball back from MSOE and flip the field upside down, keep the ball on the MSOE side of the field.
Throw in here by Samantha Fleischman, starting midfielder / defender for MSOE. She's largely been on that defensive end. As that ball up the near sideline from Wheelock, too far in front for Natalie Flores, a freshman out of California, to make a play on.
Yeah, and that's kind of been a recurring theme so far, that Concordia's had several good passes that just were a little too far ahead of the person they were trying to pass it to, or it just skirted out of bounds, or there was an MSOE defender in the way. So they need to find a way to tighten up those passing lanes and make it so that they can bounce the ball around to each other a lot and be able to have a sustained offensive attack.
Ball bounces into the chest of Brooke Sheriff, makes the snag, and once again try and get her offense started the other way. She's been good so far today in net for CUC. 3 saves so far on the 4 shots she has faced. And as usual, Brooke Sheriff is doing her job on the field, as besides the 1 goal, which not much she can do about that, a close pass and a quick shot from Kuhn to Papazoglu. Other than that, Sheriff has been excellent so far for CUC, once again, as usual.
Yeah, with how much MSOE's been at the Concordia end of the field and taking shots, Sheriff is showing why she is a two-time NAC Defensive Player of the Week. She is, again, she's only allowed the one off the short pass from Kuhn to Papazoglu get by, as the shot almost went in.
And now Sheriff falls on it, so MSOE, once again, good pressure. You could tell that they're getting close. They've gotten close multiple times to breaking the plane and scoring goal number 2, but so far, CUC's been able to keep this at a 1-goal deficit for themselves as we are quickly approaching the 11-minute mark left to play here in the first half of today's NAC match. As now Raider on the ground, pushed over by CUC's Sofia Cazares. So it'll be a free kick here for the Raiders. Taking it is Oster. Kick here, and it goes over everybody's head, and now will roll out. Last touch here. They're going to say that the Cougars clipped a part of it. I believe that was Michelle Marecki who must have grazed the top of her head, because they're calling that a corner. And for MSOE, this will be their first near side corner that we've seen today. All the corners up to this point, all 4 of them have been on that far side. So this will be a different look for the MSOE offense and what they can do off the corner kick.
Yeah, as you said, the Concordia defense has done a good job to make sure that MSOE hasn't been able to add to their lead, but law of averages says you just take enough shots and you spend enough time doing the same thing. Eventually, one of the shots will probably go in.
That corner goes nowhere, and here's a high arcing ball over the net. So CUC will have a chance for a goal kick here. Less than 9:40 to play in the first half.
Yeah, as we're into the last 10 minutes of the half, Concordia is really hoping that maybe they can try to find the pieces to put an offensive attack together to show themselves that they have been able to play well offensively in this half, and to give them some type of momentum going into the half. Because right now, all their momentum's on the defensive side and not on the offensive side.
Whistle blows. There'll be a throw in here for MSOE. Ball spun off the foot of Echeverria Abun. And now CUC trying to come away with it. Rolls in a mid-pitch. And to pick it up there is Fleischman. Gets MSOE control right back. Less than 9 to go here in the first half.
Yeah, it just seems so far that MSOE is just a step or two quicker than the Concordia team. They're able to get in front of some of the Concordia passes, so they're able to get to the side quicker and get a pass off so that they can create more offensive opportunities compared to Concordia, who's been able to have very sparing offensive chances so far.
Corner coming up here for the Raiders, taking it for MSOE. Is a name we have not called yet today. That is Hadley Ostrenga, a freshman out of Wisconsin, as this is a low kick, and it's going to be played off the foot of that Raider on the near pipe. She has the ball again, and now a whistle blows. As MSOE up in arms, not sure what the call was, but it'll be a free kick right where MSOE was last handling it, trying to get a read on the number who was called. That looks like it is Olivia Zerson.
Yeah, Concordia's allowed 5 corner kicks so far in the first roughly 37 and a half minutes. And the fact that MSOE hasn't been able to convert any of them so far is very fortunate for Concordia. They don't, in the second half and in the end of the first half here, they really need to try to set up opportunities so that they don't keep allowing as many corner kicks and make it a little bit easier on Sheriff in the goalie's box.
Ball knocked out. Last touch by a Cougar, so throw in here by Oster. And the ref blows the whistle. CUC will get possession here. And if you were paying paying attention, you might have heard it earlier, I called the name of Olivia Zerson, and if you were wondering, yes, it is the daughter of MSOE head coach Rolf Zerson. So I'm sure that makes for some interesting dinner conversations between the two of them. Olivia, a sophomore on this team out of Sussex, Wisconsin. As MSOE now trying to get possession back, which they've done a good job of doing all day, and they get it there again. Zerson finding her teammate in Samantha Shaver, as Kenworthy now moves it horizontally over to fellow captain Valeria Fernandez.
Yeah, MSOE's done a very good job so far in the game that whenever Concordia's been able to get the ball to the MSOE side of the field, MSOE players have been able to clear it out very quickly and get it right back to the Concordia side of the field so they can continue attacking and continue taking shots.
Ball rolling out. Valeria Fernandez will just watch it roll out because she knows it's a CUC possession now. Throw in here as she was targeting Cazares. Saldivar hitting a Raider on that attempt for a pass, so she'll get possession right back.
Yeah, and if you're Concordia, as we hit about the 5-minute mark left in the half, you really want to try to figure out some type of way to get the ball, again, to the MSOE side of the field so that you can put some pressure on the defense, maybe give them something to think about heading into the half, and also give yourselves a little bit of momentum as you head into halftime and then the second half.
Raiders trying to make sure that that momentum does not come for CUC. Ball now for Shaver, and a shot on goal. That was actually off the foot of Echeverria Abun, as save there from Sheriff, and it will result in now a goal kick after a couple more bounces. Send the ball out of bounds at the end of the pitch.
Yeah, and if you're MSOE, scoring another goal here right at the end of the half would be a very big momentum boost because now you're up 2-0 heading into the half. Not only that, but Concordia's had issues with doing anything offensively, so that'll be a big mental barrier for Concordia to have to get past if they're down 2-0 heading into the half while having no shots so far into the game in the first half.
Ball moved towards the near sideline. Picking it up was Marecki, and then going the wrong way with it as she's playing give and go with El Wheelock, and now Wheelock will lose a good pressure and defense out of Olivia Zerson.
Yeah, MSOE's showing off that 4th-ranked defense in the conference. They have been shutting down Concordia here in the first half, and it's been just lockdown defense, keeping the ball on the Concordia side of the field. Anytime Concordia gets something going, the MSOE defense has been there to cut it off.
Ball rolls out, and then it'll be a goal kick here for Brooke Sheriff. As gets the ball on, we are at the 3-minute mark here in the first half. So the Cougars just less than 3 minutes now to try and muster up some offense going into the halftime break. As of now, they're being outshot 13-0, 6-0 in the shots on goal category. Luckily for them, Brooke Sheriff doing Brooke Sheriff things. She's made 5 saves so far as she's kept her team in this game despite the lack of offensive productivity from the Cougars. As this ball will roll out, Zerson touched it last. Marecki a throw in to a fellow freshman in Jennifer Reyna. She tried to move it up, but MSOE is there again.
Yeah, Concordia really wants to try to find something here in the last 2 minutes of the half to feel good about offensively. Defensively, they can feel very good. They've only given up 1 goal. Another great save by Sheriff. They've only allowed 1 goal to this very good MSOE offense, but again, Concordia offensively has done a whole lot of nothing. They've just been cut off every time they try to make something happen, so they really need to figure out a way to break into the MSOE side of the field somehow.
So bringing it up. They've come close to getting goal number 2. Haven't had it yet. This will be a shot, and that goes behind the goal. Tough angle shot on that attempt.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily a great angle for the MSOE player, but they have had some very good looks so far in the game. And again, it's the testament to the ability of Brooke Sheriff to allow only one of those to find the back of the net and keep this game from potentially getting out of hand.
That was Kit Gormley, with the last shot for MSOE. As this will be a shot, and Sheriff, no problem on that. Barely had to shuffle to her right. Makes a save as we have less than 60 seconds remaining here in the first half of play. MSOE, they've been knocking on the door ever since they got their first goal of the afternoon. But Sheriff standing tall with 7 saves on the day so far. Big reason that her team is only down by 1 as they still are yet to put a shot on goal. Here comes Reyna. Bad touch there by the freshman. Gives it over to MSOE.
And that's really just been the theme of the first half. It's either been bad touches or bad passes that have allowed MSOE to just take the ball right back from Concordia whenever Concordia's started to try to make something happen.
15 seconds to go here for the first 45 of action. No, Kenworthy trying to send that one down. No good. CUC might try to get one last attempt, and they will not be able to. That ball mishandled by Marecki, and that'll do it for the first half of action. An eventful first half for the MSOE Raiders. They put up 16 shots, 8 of which found their way to the goal. However, Brooke Sheriff having an outstanding half for CUC, 7 saves. However, that one save she did not make is the difference right now. MSOE on top of the Cougars 1-0 as we head into the halftime break. When we're back here in just about 15 minutes or so, we'll have half number 2 for you. Cougars, they got some work to do, trailing the Raiders by 1. Well, the rest of today's action when we're back here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second.
University Chicago is a Christ-centered Lutheran university where truth, freedom, and vocation form students for lives of influence and service for the common good. Our university offers a wide variety of undergraduate and graduate degree options that are available in person and online. That means we have a program designed for you. Whether you're a high school student, an adult returning to complete your degree, or someone looking to enhance your credentials and prepare for career growth. As a member of this university community, you'll also find support in your spiritual and personal life so you can grow in the faith and discover ways to serve others. To start your next journey with us, visit cuchicago.edu today.
CUC nursing student and choose to stand tall for healing at a university that places Christ at the center and embraces teaching students to live a life fulfilled by purpose and meaning. Concordia University Chicago's new Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree is an innovative and rigorous 4-year program that will prepare you to rise to the daily challenges of a rewarding nursing career and serve a greater cause. Our newly built modern simulation center features 4 distinct spaces, a skills attainment lab, multi-specialty intensive care spaces, a health assessment learning center, and a simulated home environment. Due to our close proximity to many world-class teaching hospitals, CUC's clinical rotations offer an abundance of diverse and real-world experiences. Learn more about earning your BSN at a Christ-centered university today.
Hi, I'm Monica here at Concordia University Chicago, and we're here outside of Concordia Hall. Concordia Hall is the university's newest residence hall, right on the edge of campus, perfect for students who want to explore the nearby downtown of Oak Park and River Forest. The flexible suite-style living in fully furnished bedrooms lets students choose what works best for them. Every floor is complete with a community lounge and full common kitchen, with a kitchenette, microwave, sink, and refrigerator. The first floor offers the Victory Lounge, connecting to 2 additional residence halls, with no shortage of ways to relax. You're also right next to an open, outdoor plaza, better known as Victory Lane.
So now we're here in Concordia Hall's suite-style dorm room, and this is a really nice place to just hang out and chill. And since it's so big, there's plenty of room to spread out and do your homework and just relax. So now making our way into one of the bedrooms, there's plenty of space in this room for you and your roommate. A lot of times students will move the desks so that they've got their separate study space, but my roommate and I, we get along really well, so we can just work together here in the same space. Sometimes I like doing art as well, as you can see by the painting here. It's a 16 by 10 feet space, and most rooms on campus are 10 by 12 feet. So it's really nice to have a little extra space to work with here in Concordia Hall. So this hall is super close to the chapel and the Kennedy Community Center, which has the new Crossroads Dining Hall. So the location is super convenient. And I really love the city scene too. The location here is the closest on campus to the Oak Park River Forest downtown area, which has a ton of great stores and restaurants. Speaking of the city scene, I adore the view from this lounge because you can see the Chicago skyline right there.
Concordia Hall at Concordia University, Chicago.
Down through the ages, God has called and equipped people to make a real difference in the lives of others. To lead, to heal, to stand tall. For 160 years, Concordia University Chicago has been preparing the next generation of leaders with the wisdom, faith, and values to make an impact in the world, to share the gifts God gave them and answer the call to a life fulfilled by purpose and truth, to be living examples of what it means to live with Christ at the center as we serve others. Because at CUC, we don't run away from adversity, we go towards it. We don't shrink from our faith, we lead with it. We are teachers, caregivers, and musicians, scientists, pastors, and business leaders, unshakable pillars of strength and integrity who serve a cause greater than ourselves. And the world needs us now more than ever. Learn how a degree from Concordia University Chicago can help you be the pillar the world needs to stand for something greater. The only question is, are you ready to stand tall?
Welcome back to Concordia Stadium as we get set for second half action between your Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Raiders of the Milwaukee School of Engineering. Peter Borkowski still here on the Cougar Sports Network, joined still by Eric Perry. And let's go over some of the statistics that we have seen so far today. First, in terms of goal scoring, it has been just one. It was Faith Papazoglu at the 6:39 mark into the first half, assisted by Elizabeth Kuhn, with Papazoglu getting her third goal of the year and Kuhn her fifth assist of the season. And since then, no more scores on the scoreboard, but it's been a game dominated by MSOE. 16 shots to CUC's 0. 8 of MSOE's 16 have been on goal. But that doesn't mean Brooke Sheriff is having a nice day for the Cougs. 7 saves on the day versus just the 1 goal allowed. Both teams have committed 5 fouls, 5 corners for MSOE, 0 for the Cougars, and 1 offsides called on the Raiders. Cougars, no offsides called yet. And, you know, it's not really a statistic we have here in the scorebook, Eric, but the time of possession has been the biggest differentiator in today's game, as I know you've made a few guesses, but really 85 to 90% of this game has been controlled by the Raiders in CUC's third of the pitch. So this is a game that not only is CUC not getting any shots on goal, they're not even getting any looks towards the goal down on MSOE's third of the pitch.
Yeah, it seems like every time Concordia gets the ball and makes the way to midfield, MSOE immediately gets it back and then spends the next 5 or 6 minutes just attacking the Concordia goal and Brooke Sheriff. So far, Sheriff's shown why she is a 2-time NAC Defensive Player of the Week, only allowing 1 goal to get by, but eventually the defense and the goalie may end up breaking. It can only bend so much before one of those takes a lucky bounce or a player manages to get a ricochet off a crossbar and MSOE grows their lead to 2 or more.
Well, MSOE is ready to go here. As Eric said, they just keep this pressure up. They are bound to find the back of the net at least once more, maybe twice more, depending on how things go. Meanwhile, CUC, we'll have to see what Coach Eddie Garza drew up in the locker room during the halftime break. His team's going to need some major adjustments here in the second half. Not defensively. Defensively, they've looked good at preventing an MSOE team who is scoring 2.31 goals per game from actually scoring the ball, which they have done only once so far today. But it's the CUC offense that's really going to need some tweaking going into the final 45 minutes as we get underway here. Second half action, the final 45 minutes of homecoming week here at Concordia University, Chicago, as it has been a fun week of athletics at CUC and around the rest of the conference, as men's soccer, they were able to pick up a 3-2 win this past Wednesday. Women's tennis and women's soccer were both in action that day as well. They both lost. Men's tennis and women's volleyball lost this past Thursday. And yesterday during Saturday, unfortunately, all 4 teams in action dropped their games. Women's tennis, women's volleyball, football, and men's tennis. And then, women's tennis again. And then men's soccer dropping their senior day earlier today against an MSOE men's team. So, even though it's been a fun week of athletics, it would be nice to end the week with a win. CUC only 1 win so far during this homecoming week. Women's soccer, though, they got their work cut out for them. Down by 1 to one of the premier teams in the NAC conference right now, MSOE, currently sitting at 4th place in the conference at 4-1-1, as they are one of 3 teams with just 1 loss, and then Illinois Tech does not have a loss yet this season.
Yeah, MSOE wasn't doing super great in non-conference. They were 4-3, but the second they hit conference, it's like a switch flip. They're 4-1-1, and they've just been dominating so far in conference play. And Paige Sanchez, the MSOE goalie, she's had a couple balls roll to her, but essentially she spent the first half just standing there watching her offense dominate. And her offense domination continues. There is a goal
And once more, Faith Papazaglou adds on to her season total goal. Number 2 of the afternoon for number 10 in red. And it is goal number 4 on the season. That ties her for third most on the team as the Raiders find that second goal they've been oh so close to for what seems like forever in this game. They build a 2-0 lead over the Cougars.
Yeah, and that's a backbreaker for the Cougars. Less than, or barely over 2 minutes into the half, and MSOE's just added to their lead. And while scoring 1 goal based off the first half seemed like a very tall task, scoring 2 just to tie it seems like it might be near impossible unless they're able to turn the offense around by getting the ball on the MSOE side of the field.
Well, they do here. Taking it into the corner is Natalie Flores. See what she does with it. Centering kick, and it lands in the hands of Paige Sanchez. That's an unfortunate break for CUC. One of the best looks they've had all day into the corner. And Flores' kick just unfortunately lands into the hands of Sanchez. CUC not even really getting a shot off in that attempt.
Yeah, and that's just the name of the game so far for Concordia. They haven't been able to get good shots off, and when they do, it just goes...
Well, MSOE strikes again. Look at that. Addison Spillman. So we were talking about the offensive adjustment CUC was going to need to make here in the second half, and coming out of the gates, it looks like MSOE is the one who made said adjustments. A pair of goals, not even 3 minutes into this half, and MSOE has got themselves a 3-0 lead now.
Yeah, 2 goals in roughly 49 seconds is not how you want to start the second half if you're Concordia. And now you just got to find a way to do literally anything offensively. Like, you've got to find some type of way to turn this around somehow.
And the real unfortunate thing for CUC in that situation was they're just coming off one of their best looks at the goal. It was considered a shot by Flores, so first shot on goal of the day and first shot in general for CUC. But to go from that, of maybe figuring it out offensively, to going down the other end and letting up a goal, it's just a bad break for CUC. They fall in a 3-0 hole as Addison Spillman scores her fourth goal of the day. And she's assisted by Faith Papazaglou, who continues to have a dominant outing so far this afternoon for MSOE. 2 goals and an assist now for the junior out of Comac, New York.
Yeah, Papazaglou's just kind of been Concordia's bane of this game. Like, she's participated in every single one of the MSOE goals.
She gets another shot off, and there's Brooke Sheriff. You can tell she's hungry for that hat trick. Won't get it there. But again, MSOE continuing their pressure on the CUC defense.
Yeah, it just seems like every time Concordia gets the ball, there's either an errant pass or a good defensive play, and MSOE just gets the ball back immediately. And so Concordia has nothing to build off of, really. There's not a whole lot of things where you can point at and say, this worked, we just have to change this slightly, or we have to alter this a little bit. It's just MSOE just keeps getting the ball back almost immediately.
Up the far sideline comes Grace Quinn, who she has herself an assist today on the second Papazaglou goal, as CUC does get the ball back. As for looking ahead for CUC in terms of the playoff race, Coach Garza has said this whole season, dating back to the quotes he gave for our preseason article about this women's soccer team, he's mentioned that he wants this team to make the NAC tournament. It's not just about the progress that they could make this year as a very young team coming off back-to-back 11th place finishes in the NAC, as Sanchez collects that ball from a charging Reyna. It's not just about showing progress from those back-to-back 11th place finishes. He thinks this team is good enough to make the NAC tournament outright. And right now, they are in a position to do so. They currently sit 7th in the conference. There are 8 teams. The top 8 teams are the ones who make the NAC tournament. And looking ahead in their schedule, they will play number 12, Benedictine, number 2, Concordia University, Wisconsin, number 9, Edgewood, and number 3, Dominican. So 2 teams below them, 2 teams above them. So this is still a very viable path into the conference tournament for this Cougar squad.
Yeah, as you said, progress year over year is nice, but it's also nice when you can have something tangential to point to and say, yeah, we managed to turn around the ship, so much so that we made the conference tournament.
As charging ahead with it is Grace Quinn. Quinn still tried to give a centering pass, and now Wheelock will clear it out. Elizabeth Kuhn, Grace Quinn, and Pompazaglu have been causing some chaos in the box for CUC as of late.
Yeah, and it just feels like every time Concordia manages to make a stop and clear the ball out, MSOE just gets the ball right back.
Good punch out by Brooke Sheriff. That ball put on goal. A little backwards kick from Pompazaglu, it looked like. And again, Sheriff able to get a piece of it, or get all of it, I should say. She now drop kicks this ball down.
Yeah, and that's just indicative of what it is. Sheriff gets a good drop kick down the field, but MSOE just immediately gets the ball back and takes control and continues to go on the offensive, just working again on just wearing down this Concordia defense that's spent most of the game on its heels.
Well, for Concordia looking ahead, I mentioned the rankings of the teams they're playing, but it's also going to be tough because they will have 3 road games in a row after this match. Their next game, they'll be at Benedictine on the 16th of this month, then 3 days later taking on Concordia, Wisconsin in a little less than a week on the 19th. That's Saturday. Then they will travel to Edgewood College next Wednesday, the 23rd, a reserve game Sunday, the 27th. And then the season finishes up with a Wednesday match against the Dominican Stars right here at CUC, another edition of the Division Street rivalry between the Cougs and the Stars, probably the 2 closest teams to each other in proximity in the entire conference, separated by just about a 5-minute drive down the road. So CUC, if they want to make that tournament, it's still very viable, but they're going to have to go through 3 road games after this MSOE squad, including a game at number 2 ranked Concordia, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and prolonged road trips are never fun, but especially at a time like this where you've got to win at least 2 or 3 of them in order to hopefully lock up a spot in the conference tournaments. That's a tall task for Concordia, so they've got to be able to turn it up offensively as they head into those games.
Goal kick coming up here for Sheriff. As CUC, they know with less than 36 minutes remaining here in the game, if they want any chance of coming back from this one, not only do they need a goal soon, they just need to start showing signs of life offensively. So far today, only 1 shot, which was on goal by Natalie Flores, but it was that very weird angle shot that looked more like a centering kick than it did a shot on goal. Paige Sanchez had no problem collecting the save on it. Here's a shot. Brooke Sheriff makes the low save. She'll keep that at a 3-goal deficit for her Cougars.
Yeah, getting shots on goal seems extremely difficult for Concordia, so managing to get 3 of them that find the back of the net seems like a little bit of a Herculean effort almost. So they've really got to find some way to start breaking down the MSOE defense, which they just have not been able to do so far in the game. And a lot of that just comes down to miscommunication. There have been some passes that maybe didn't go the way they were intended to go, or the person or the recipient just wasn't expecting them or wasn't ready for them. And that's what has allowed MSOE to just keep getting the ball back and to keep pushing the Concordia defense and Brooke Sheriff.
Far sideline now is Quinn being pursued closely. She'll not get ahead. There's Pamela Saldivar. And this ball will roll towards the MSOE bench. Collecting it is Fleischman. Now big boot towards the CUC goal. There is Pompazaglu, the 2-goal scorer for MSOE. She currently has the game-winning goal as that kick ricochets off of Michelle Marecki. Leaves play. And MSOE now gets set for a throw-in.
Yeah, Papasaglou's just been everywhere this game, it seems like. She scored the first 2 goals herself, and then she assisted the 3rd goal. So she's had a hand in pretty much everything that MSOE has done offensively this game. And, yeah, Concordia is just desperate to try to figure out a way to create a sustained push on the MSOE side of the field, which they have been unable to do for the first 57 minutes of the game.
Ball up the near sideline, and it rolls out. Last touch off of Elena Dwinger, senior out of Columbus, Indiana. As the throw-in lands at the feet of Cazares, back to Wheelock. She's looking for Fairless, however, getting a piece of it first was Oster. And now Fairless with it. She is one of the quickest players on the pitch for CUC on either team, honestly. She is a track and field athlete for the Concordia Cougars as well as a member of the women's soccer team, so dual sport athlete, and those are 2 sports that definitely complement each other, running in track and field as well as running during soccer. As now here is Kuhn centering kick and another knock, and there's a shot from Addison Spillman, and it is going to hit the left side of the goal. No danger of going in, but good opportunity there for Spillman. Just didn't get a great angle on the shot.
Yeah, there was a few Concordia defenders in the way, so she angled it a little bit to the left to try to avoid them. Unfortunately for her, she angled it too far to the left, and it never really had a chance of making it into the goal. Sheriff didn't even have to move to make a play on it.
And should be shouldn't point out, Sheriff also did a good job closing down on that near side pipe to really decrease the angle on the shot for Spillman. And like Eric said, Maya just played her hand a little too much, had to be way too accurate, and ended up missing it to that left side of the post. As this ball will leave play, throw in here for Marecki, a freshman on this Cougs squad from Lombard, Illinois, the Glenbard South. So not too far a product from here in River Forest, as the Cougars now get a substitution. Elle Wheelock will check out.
Yeah, one interesting thing about Concordia is they are a very young team. They have a lot of freshmen and sophomores. So as they continue to play in future seasons, they'll just grow in experience, and they'll get better when it comes to facing tough teams like this. So then along with any transfers or recruits, Garza will be able to build a better team in seasons to come.
That ball will leave play, so throw in here from the Raiders. Last touch by one of the newest entrances to this Cougar squad, another freshman in Allison Rushman, who's from North Las Vegas, Nevada. As Kuhn chasing after that ball, couldn't get another shot on. It looks like she took a shot to the leg, incidentally, from Marecki. As Kuhn, you can see her grab her leg for a split second. She's back and running. Here come the Raiders once more as we are approaching the 30-minute mark, about a third of the way through this last 45 minutes of action. MSOE holding on to a 3-0 lead as they came out of the gates firing in this second half. Pair of goals within 3 minutes of the kickoff to the last 45 minutes. And they hold a 3-0 advantage over CUC.
Yeah, and CUC at this point is essentially just looking for a miracle. They haven't been able. They have one shot in the first 60 minutes of gameplay, so now they're just trying to figure out something that'll allow them to get to the MSOE side of the field and actually take shots and hopefully find a way to get one of them into the back of the net, which seems like it'll be exceedingly difficult as the game goes on.
Centering attempt from Spillman is blocked by Saldivar. Good defense out of CUC's junior Chicagoan. Ball does eventually work its way out, as now we're going to see Elizabeth Kuhn check out of the game. So You're seeing Coach Zerson for the Raiders be a little more comfortable pulling some of his primary starters.
Yeah, at this point, you're in the final 30 minutes. You've got a comfortable 3-0 lead, and knowing that Concordia has done essentially nothing. They've got one shot on goal. You feel more comfortable in taking out a person that is your second highest goal scorer and second highest in points on the team.
She was replaced by Jackie Keene, a junior out of Mount Prospect, Illinois. Not too far from here at CUC either. So Coach Zerson getting some different looks with his players on the pitch as Kenworthy's kick, an errant kick. It goes out the back of the pitch. You can tell she's trying to clear that out the sideline. Instead, it results in a corner kick for Claire Bradford and the MSOE Raiders. See what they could do here with corner number 6 on the afternoon.
Yeah, Bradford's not a name we've said a whole lot today. She actually leads MSOE in goals as well as 2 assists, but so far she hasn't been a super big factor. However, luckily for MSOE, they've got Faith Papaziglu, who has been able to score 2 goals and add an assist.
Brooke Sheriff now, who and here's a weird angle shot from almost out of bounds. It leaves the field of play, so it will be a goal kick here for Brooke Sheriff now.
Yeah, and Sheriff's really done as much as she can today. The issue has just been that, again, MSOE has spent the vast majority of the game down in, if you're looking at the football field, inside the 10-yard line. And so Sheriff's essentially just been having to make save after save and play after play. And eventually, as we've seen, a couple of those have been able to get past her.
Papaziglu will put something in front of the net. I believe Sheriff got a piece of it the way that ball redirected. As MSOE, another ball towards the net and a big header there from Kenworthy. Now look at Kenworthy, 5'8", one of the taller players out there getting up to head that away from the CUC goal. As about 26 minutes left here in the match. As here's a ball put towards the net and a weird deflection from Sheriff. Then another shot, and how about another ball? And Sheriff makes the snag on that. MSOE putting everything they can towards Sheriff in goal, yet she is playing well. Despite the 3 goals given up, she is up to 11 saves before that sequence. After that sequence, so they did not give her a save on that on any of those attempts, but still 11 saves on the afternoon for Sheriff, even with the 3 goals given up. Still not a bad stat line for the junior from California.
No, definitely not. When you've been facing the type of pressure that Sheriff has with MSOE just being in your face for pretty much the entire game, just taking shot after shot, having 11 saves is very good, but then it's the 3 that got by when your offense can do pretty much nothing that can end up losing the game.
Whistle blows as we'll get a free kick coming up here for the Cougars. Less than 25 minutes to play here in River Forest, wrapping up this Sunday soccer doubleheader between the Cougars and MSOE. The men's team's playing earlier this afternoon for CUC Senior Day, and MSOE, however, spoiling the Senior Day fun for the Cougars with a 2-0 win over CUC. Meanwhile, the women's squad not faring much better. A 3-0 deficit they find themselves in to the Raiders of MSOE, largely because of this player right here. Papaziglu, 2 goals on the day and an assist. She leaves it in a shot into the top corner. How about another point for Papaziglu as she sends a helper to Grace Quinn, who pots it top left, and MSOE on top of CUC now 4-0 as the Cougars are going to make a change in goal. Sheriff is out, and coming in to replace her is Caitlin Wagner, but That was not before the damage is done. Raiders score one more thanks to Quinn from Papazoglu. They take a 4-0 lead over CUC.
Yeah, that's Quinn's 5th goal of the season, and is Papazoglu's. That's her 2nd assist of the season. Before today, she didn't have any. Now she's got 2 to go along with her 2 goals, being responsible for every single positive thing that has happened, essentially, for MSOE offensively.
So Faith Papazoglu up to 2 goals and 2 assists on the afternoon. As at this rate, MSOE might have another NAC Offensive Player of the Week on their hands with Papazoglu's 6-point day. Meanwhile, Grace Quinn, she's got a goal and assist. Addison Spillman has a goal and assist. And the other point scorer for MSOE is Elizabeth Kuhn, who had an assist on the very first goal of the afternoon for MSOE. But I mentioned it. We can talk about some more. CUC making a change in goal. Brooke Sheriff is out. Has herself 12 saves against 4 goals allowed. A lot of action in net for Brooke Sheriff. She's replaced by the freshman Caitlin Wagner, who comes into today. 5 games played, 151 minutes and a half of action. 6 goals allowed against 13 saves, 356 goals against average, as well as a 684 save percentage. As CUC boots this one out, so Coach Garza putting in his freshman keep. See what she can get going here.
Yeah, and if you're Garza at this point, you're down 4-0. Offensive production is not great. So now you're just putting in the freshman to see if she can make something happen, if she can get stuff going, and just to help her gain experience in an actual game against a very good team in MSOE.
As for the Cougars as a whole right now, this is tied for what would be their worst loss of the season. A pair of 4-0 losses they had earlier in non-conference play to Augustana as well as Elmhurst. Since then, they have not allowed more than 3 goals, and that was to IIT on October 2nd. As for MSOE, this is still nowhere close right now to their biggest win of the year, a 6-0 defeat at Lakeland it's a 6-0 defeat of Lakeland, I should say, on September 25th. So MSOE, they still have another 2 goals before they tie their season high in goals. They also scored 6 in the season opening win against Wheaton. They allowed 3 goals, however, in that match. As a push in the back here, and then there's a step over as well from Rosario Echeverria Abun. No whistle on either play, and the ball rolls out as it'll be a corner kick now. And it's going to be taken by Hadley Ostrenga.
Yeah, and this game, if the result goes the way that it's looking like it will go, it just continues a bit of a skid for Concordia. They haven't won a game since September 28th against Wisconsin Lutheran. Since then, it's been 2 losses and a tie, which is a bit of a down period for them, because going into this skid, they had won 4 out of 5, with that 5th being a tie. So things were off to a very good start. It's just in the last couple of games they've been outplayed by the other teams.
And MSOE almost had a 5th goal right there, including Papazoglu, who's looking for the Hattie. And CUC somehow able to keep it out. And there's a deflection by Mel Kenworthy now as the Cougars almost cleared it out. Here is Zenser, a shot pushed away by Caitlin Wagner. Low angle shot for Olivia Zerson. And it will result in a corner kick for Hadley Ostrenga and the Raiders. But still, great effort by Zerson. Even better effort by Caitlin Wagner to push away. Now here is the corner. High arc on it. And a header. It's going in the wrong direction. MSOE loses it. Player got there first for the Raiders, but her header went away from where it should have gone. which was towards the goal. CUC still trying to clear it out. They've been having difficulties with that as of late. A lot of pressure in the box for MSOE. It's Izzy Fearless now. She'll take a crack at moving this ball up. She kicks it up and is now controlling it is Cazares.
Yeah, one positive about Concordia not being able to clear it out effectively is that the freshman goalie, Caitlin Wagner, has been getting a lot of experience now that she's been in the game replacing Sheriff. She's had to face several shots in a very quick succession.
She scoops this one up and will get set for a drop kick as we are under 20 minutes to play here in River Forest. Last home game for this Cougars women's team until they are back at home on October 30th to take on Dominican University in the Division Street rivalry, as well as the final match of the regular season. The way things are shaping up right now, there's a decent chance it's not the last game of the season, period, for the Cougars. But if they stay in this bottom tier of this bottom half of the playoff field in the NAC, it is likely to be their last home game, I should say. They also have a reserve game on October 27th versus Clark University. So if you're looking to catch this women's team at home as this rolling ball makes its way safely into the hands of Wagner, October 30th, your last chance to see the proper women's soccer team take action at home unless some shenanigans in the playoffs ensue.
Yeah, Concordia is looking at that game. Dominican's currently third in the conference, so hoping that maybe it'll be a nice end cap to a good road trip that'll break the skid they've been on. They can win a couple of those of their remaining games and play a little bit of a Halloween spoiler to Dominican.
Raiders moving the ball backwards, prioritizing possession as they have done all day. They know the only way that they let CUC back into this game is by really mistakes on their own part, because the way these two teams have been playing, the CUC has not gotten anything going against the Raiders. So the Raiders are going to have to seriously slip up, and that could let the CUC back in the building. But at this rate, it does not look likely. MSOE has been playing a very sharp soccer game. Looks like it's just going to take CUC turning on the Jets here in the final 17 minutes of action if they want to mount any kind of comeback.
Yeah, MSOE hasn't really made any mistakes this game. They've been very safe with the ball. They've been able to get good passes off and get good looks on goal. And again, their fourth-ranked defense has just been locked down, allowing only one shot on goal this game, and one shot at all for Concordia, actually, while being able to keep getting the ball back and letting their offense do the work.
Ball moves up the pitch for CUC. There's Cazares. She leaves it for Brown. Brown now racing on the far sideline in front of her coaching staff, Coach Garza, and then his assistant Shelby Sims, Ben Kurtz, and Cassie Salenzi. As this ball makes its way to Kenworthy, off her foot, it's a turnover into the feet of Zerson. And here come the Raiders once more. Papa Zaglu still on the pitch for MSOE. Coach Rolf Zerson, not Olivia Zerson, his daughter, who's on the pitch right now. Coach Rolf Zerson might be keeping Papa Zaglu out there to see if she can get that third goal, as she's been pulled most of his starters other than Papa Zaglu.
Yeah, and even if she doesn't find that third goal for the hat trick, she still had a very productive day. She'll have had 2 goals and 2 assists to have played a part in each of the MSOE goals so far.
Good move here by Papa Zaglu. She's really wanting that third goal. She might have a chance at something, but knocking it away is Rosario Echeverria Abun. Papa Zaglu left it for her junior teammate out of Spain, and then Echeverria Abun just knocking it out the end of the pitch. So CUC now will get set to move downfield with the goal kick from Wagner.
Yeah, Concordia's, again, they're just trying to find a way to make anything happen as MSOE just gets the ball back again, which has been the story of this game so far.
MSOE controlling it, working it back safely through their defense. And now here is Papa Zaglou once more. Moving it up. She's looking for goal number 3. She leaves it for Echeverria Abun, and she puts it into the back of the goal. Rosario Echeverria Abun gets goal number 5 for MSOE today. And who else but Papa Zaglou on the assist? She now has herself a 3rd assist as she's finally checking out of the game. She has contributed to every MSOE goal, including this last one by Echeverria Abun, and MSOE, because of it, a 5-0 lead over CUC. 14-15 left to play here in the match.
Yeah, and that assist by Papa Zaglou will jump her. Just this game, she's gone from 8th in total points on the MSOE team to now 3rd, trailing only Claire Bradford and Elizabeth Kuhn.
Ball will roll out. Echeverria Abun, her goal officially assisted by Papa Zaglou. And in terms of where this sits kind of in the league as a whole, so Papa Zaglou right now, 2 goals, that's 4 points right there, and then an additional 3 assists. That is 7 total points on the afternoon for Papa Zaglou. That currently ties her for the 4th most points in a game so far this season. Katie Chismarek of IIT put up 7 back on September 18th of the season. So Papa Zaglou in good territory. Her day is more than likely done. She takes a seat on the bench. She's played, as of now, she has played 51 minutes of action, so just about every minute for MSOE. She now gets a well-deserved break.
Yeah, 51 minutes of action for Papa Zaglou. Basically, every 10 minutes she has contributed to an MSOE goal, whether it's scoring the goal herself or an assist. So she's had a very efficient day for her.
Throw in here for the Cougars. Receiving it for a second was Alyssa Huckabee, a Henderson at Nevada native. But MSOE, as per usual, gets the ball back. They've been dominant in the possession match.
And if you're Concordia here at the end, you just want to try to push the MSOE players, push the defense to just try to get another shot on goal and to try to find something that offensively you can feel good about for this game.
And here is a ball and a shot and a save. Shot from Alexis Jamiola, and then Caitlin Wagner. She makes the save for Wagner. That'll be save number 2 on the afternoon after she checked in for Brooke Sheriff, who appeared in 66 minutes and 1 second. And Caitlin Wagner has been playing for the last about 12 minutes of action, as we are under 12 minutes of action remaining in the game. And at this point, it's largely for these two teams a chance to see what they've got personnel-wise, as that ball somehow gets past everyone, and Wagner diving on it. It was going wide left. It would not have hurt the Cougars in terms of the goal scoring. It might have resulted in a corner for MSOE, but Caitlin Wagner making sure none of that comes to fruition, and she dives on the ball.
Yeah, it looked like with that play there was just a little bit of miscommunication by the Concordia defenders that allowed that ball to start heading towards left of the net. And yeah, at this point again, for Concordia and also for MSOE, you're just seeing what your bench players have, see what your freshmen have, and getting them experience that they can learn from against opponents. and figure out how to become a better soccer player.
And ball ahead here for Keene. Keene now shot saved by Wagner. What a piece of goaltending by Caitlin Wagner. She shot out the right arm and got just enough of the ball to deflect it away from the goal. Jackie Keene, a good run there to essentially get a breakaway. And Caitlin Wagner, however, standing tall in net for CUC. That is a nice save to see out of the freshman from LaGrange, Kentucky.
Yeah, so far throughout the day, MSOEs seem to be just a step ahead or a step quicker than the Concordia players, whether it's stepping in front of Concordia passes or breaking free to set up goals or shots. They've just seemed to be a step quicker, which in this game can make all the difference.
As MSOE gets a wave of substitutions, 3 pitch players as well as a goaltender, as Paige Sanchez's day is going to be done. 1 save on the day for Sanchez. That is all she needed to hold this shutout. And now it becomes a combined shutout, as stepping into the goal is the freshman from Rice Lake, Wisconsin, Ayla Zuzek. Zuzek, 5 games played coming into this match, 61 minutes and 24 seconds of action, has allowed 2 goals versus 3 saves for a .293 goals against average and a .600 save percentage. She's been part of 3 combined shutouts along with Paige Sanchez, as they're now just 9.5 minutes away from combined shutout number 4 on the year.
Yeah, and getting your freshman goalie in like this late in the game is also, again, allowing her to get on-field experience that you can't get anywhere else. You can only get experience like that in an actual game. So that's helping to set her up for future success behind Paige Sanchez.
Ball up and a header there from Zoe Kirkman gets it moving the other way, but Madeline Georgopoulos coming away with it for CUC. She's got some speed to her game as she wins the foot race to the ball, trying to work it towards the corner. Good defense from Jillian Killam as she eventually forces the turnover, gets her team moving up the far sideline. That ball knocked out by Valeria Canello as we get another MSOE sub here.
Yeah, and that's been the story of this game. Concordia gets the ball, and they start to make something happen with an MSOE just able to poke it away and quickly get it back onto the Concordia side of the field and put the Concordia defense and team on their heels.
Ball rolling and bouncing way wide left of the goal. As that means a goal kick coming up for Caitlin Wagner, who is now up to 3 saves in about 13 and a half minutes of action, as we have 8 minutes left to play here in the match. CUC again back in action this Wednesday. A trip less than 30 minutes away to Lisle, Illinois, where they will take on the Benedictine University Eagles. Always a good match, CUC versus Benedictine, 2 of the closest schools in proximity in the entire NAC conference. Benedictine currently sitting at 12th in the conference, however, having a not-so-great year over in Lisle, so CUC might be a decent chance to rebound there, as they are still going to be without a conference win since September 28th. They won 2-1 at Wisconsin Lutheran. So it's been a while since CUC has had a win, and it's going to keep going that way after today. MSOE up I-5 here with 7:10 to play. Cougars will have to look to rebound on Wednesday against Benedictine.
Yeah, if you're Cougars coach Eddie Garza, you're looking at the game at Benedictine as a game to hopefully right the ship and get the team back on track and stop the skid that they've been on. You know, hopefully get the offense back working and allow them to score goals so that you're not put in the position that they were this game, which is the defense being on their heels for roughly 85% of the game.
There is Morecki trying to move it up to Fairless. That ball goes out. Last touch by a falling Melina Leone. As now this loose ball is going to find its way to the feet of Reagan Burkemper. And now a kick here from Zoe Kirkman. This ball going to go out. Last touch by the Raiders. So CUC in the final 7 minutes here, and maybe trying to get some sustained pressure. This is the first time we've seen them really do anything relatively long on the Benedictine side, the MSOE side of the pitch. So I have Benedictine on my mind. As CUC trying to make some noise here in the last 7 minutes, just maybe get a little bit of a confidence boost, say that they could do something against an MSOE squad who, up to this point, has held them to one shot, which was on goal for the Cougars, but that is all CUC's offense has mustered today. And even that one shot wasn't the best of opportunities for Natalie Flores, the shooter, and the Cougars as a whole.
Yeah, and especially for Concordia, when you've got your younger bench players on the field right now, if they're able to make something happen and get good shots or maybe even score a goal, that'll be a very big confidence boost as they go forward in the season and their collegiate careers here at Concordia.
Turnover there from CUC. Burkemper coming away with it for the Raiders. Nice play as they give it now to Kit Gormley. This ball's going to roll all the way towards the MSOE bench. And watching it roll out and getting ready for a throw-in was Valeria Canelo, as we are under 5 minutes away from the final buzzer here in River Forest. MSOE, unless some miraculous turn of events occur, really does have this game in hand, up by 5. CUC would need to now score over a goal per minute at this rate, which, the way this game has gone, seems very unlikely, as MSOE just needs to ride the clock out. Allie Brown tries to push it ahead, looking for Huckabee, as the Cougars once again turn the ball over. We don't track turnovers in our stat programs, at least not that I can see, but that would be an interesting statistic to see just how many turnovers MSOE has forced today. As it seems like anytime the Cougars try to get something going, MSOE is right there to get that ball back in their possession.
Yeah, it seems like MSOE has done a great job this game of shutting down the passing lanes and breaking up passes so that they just keep getting the ball back, and Concordia can't do anything offensively. They've done a very good job of making sure that they're the ones with the ball and they're the ones on the attack.
There's a shot towards goal and a save by Caitlin Wagner. That'll be save number 4 on the afternoon for Wagner. That shot coming off the foot of Alexis Baldwin, a Nolensville, Tennessee native. There's Allie Brown, who's ahead now for her squad mate in Itzel Rivera. And now a tangle up here. Every team's wanting to call on it. We'll see who it goes towards, and it is on the Raiders. So CUC will get a free kick out of it. 2 players getting tangled up, and they're going to let Mel Kenworthy take this. That ball just before the 30-yard line on the football field.
And this is one of the best looks that Concordia's had all game, a free kick at the 30-yard line.
And not sure what's going on here. I think they're reversing the call potentially. I think they are, as now it's going to turn into an MSOE free kick. So really odd. CUC was set up for a free kick, and then the referee said something to the Cougars, and they all moved to the left on your screen, and MSOE shifted as well, and it turned into a Raiders free kick. So not sure what was said. The referee either overturned the original call, or maybe there was something on the setup for CUC he didn't like. Whatever the situation is, it really doesn't result in much, as we have gotten the 2-minute warning over the PA system. 1:45 remaining here in River Forest.
Yeah, and if you're Concordia at this point, you're just fighting to get the ball back on offense and not be on defense like they have been for most of the game. You're trying to intercept passes or just find a way to poke the ball away from the MSOE players so that you can attempt to do something offensively. and maybe score or get at least a good shot on goal.
Well, it's going to have to wait as MSOE sets up for a free kick. We will see who ends up taking it. Right now it is Reagan Burkemper with the ball, and she's going to leave it for Zoe Kirkman to have a chance at it. All the players in movement for the Raiders. Here's the kick. Goes over everybody, and the header, and a nice boot there by Allie Brown. Excellent header from Samantha Harrell. Put it right in the middle of the box for her teammates, but Allie Brown able to be the first player in, as there's another free kick coming up. This one for the Cougars. Mel Kenworthy gets set up. See if she can get her team moving in the final half a minute of play. See if they can get anything going offensively to hang their cap on coming out of what's been a rough day here in River Forest for both soccer squads. And it's shaping up to be a total of a 7-0 defeat of CUC by MSOE between the men's game and the women's game.
Yeah, again, in the last, roughly 10 seconds, Concordia is just trying to hopefully find something that they can point at and say, we did this well today and we can build off of this aspect going into the Benedictine game.
Well, and that does not happen. The buzzer rings, the clock hits 0, and that'll do it from River Forest. A day full of soccer concludes with a 5-0 defeat of the Cougars at the hands of the Milwaukee School of Engineering. Cougars, their record now falls to 7-6-2, 3-3-2 in conference play, while the Raiders, they improved to 9-4-1 and 5-1-1 in conference play. Raiders, they win their second straight game. They continue their streak of not losing a match since the 28th of September. Meanwhile, CUC, they lose their first game in a row, but they are still winless since the 28th of September. So 3 losses and a tie in that time span for CUC, who continues to be in a slump heading into the Benedictine game on Wednesday. But before we get to that, let's look over some of the final statistics from this afternoon. In terms of team stats, 36 total shots by MSOE, and in just an incredible number to think about. This is a team who averages 13 shots per game, yet they put up 36 in this game alone. 21 of their shots found their way to goal. They only had to make 1 save thanks to Paige Sanchez. And then 7 fouls for the Raiders, 9 corners, and 3 offsides. On the flip side for CUC, just 1 shot, which did go on goal from Natalie Flores. It was saved, as I mentioned, by Paige Sanchez. 16 saves combined for CUC, 12 of which came from Brooke Sheriff, who allowed 4 goals in 66 minutes of action. And then 4 saves from Caitlin Wagner, who allowed 1 goal in 23 minutes and 40 seconds of action. CUC committing 8 fouls, no corner kicks for the Cougs, and 1 offsides call against CUC. In terms of players, like I said, for CUC, the only statistic really coming from Natalie Flores, 1 shot, which was on goal, the lone shot for CUC. As for MSOE, a lot to go over. Single goals from Addison Spillman, Grace Quinn, as well as Rosario Echeverria Abun. Meanwhile, assists coming from Addison Spillman, Grace Quinn, Elizabeth Kuhn. But, of course, the player I am leaving out is Faith Papazoglu. 2 goals on the day and 3 assists. A 7-point day for Faith Papazoglu. Just an insane day out of number 10 in red, the junior from Comac, New York. And she had a hand in every MSOE goal as they take down the Cougars 5-0. But before we wrap things up, Eric, let's get your final thoughts on the afternoon and what turned out to be a pretty unfortunate and tough game for CUC.
Yeah, this game kind of ended up being a bit of a lopsided affair. They just weren't able to do much, or they had 1 shot offensively. They weren't able to do a whole lot. Their defense was good, but again, if you're spending most of the game just facing shot after shot after shot, eventually some of those shots are going to get by, and that's exactly what happened. So as they head into the game against Benedictine, who's 12th in the conference, they're just hoping that that game will allow them to get back on track and pick up their first win since September 28th.
Well, that'll do it from River Forest, a men's and women's soccer doubleheader. Over and out. Men's losing 2-0. Women's losing 5-0. Both teams facing the MSOE Raiders. But do want to say thanks to everybody making all of today's production possible. Over in the statistics booth, we had Ashley Schroll and Dave Dimeling, who was on the call earlier for the men's game here in the production side of the booth. We had Abby Kulig producing, and then Grace King and Lindley Southern on camera. We had Alan Mateo floating around with the camera / helping out with substitution. And then Van Gato was also on the call earlier this afternoon for the men's game. I was joined by Eric Perry for all of this women's game, and then we were under the direction of our graduate assistant, Sydney Lloyd, our assistant sports information director, Corey Welch, and then our sports information director, Kayla McLeod. One more time, CUC women's soccer drops this match 5-0 to MSOE. They'll be back in action this upcoming Wednesday, October 16th, taking a trip to Benedictine University. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m., and coverage can, of course, be found at our website, cuccougars.com. But that'll do it for homecoming week here at CUC 2024. And until next time, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougars.
Tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.